Good afternoon and welcome to the Assembly of Osteopathic Graduate Medical Educators and the American Academy of Osteopathy, AAO's joint webinar on tools for faculty development for ACGME Osteopathic Recognition. My name is Alenta Long, Executive Director of AOGME, and I'll be your moderator for today's webinar. We're pleased to have Drs. Hostoffer and Rowane as our featured speakers today, whom I will introduce shortly. AACOM's AOGME is a professional membership group supporting those involved in graduate medical education, including GME leadership, administrators, medical educators, learners, and others with an interest in and connected to osteopathic GME. You can learn more about AOGME at aacom.org/AOGME. Before we get started, I'd like to review a few housekeeping notes. This webinar is being recorded. The webinar recording will be posted on the AOGME's webinars webpage within a few days. All webinar participants are now in listen-only mode. Please make sure your computer volume is turned up. The audio for today's event will be streamed through your computer speakers. If you experience technical issues during the webinar, please use the chat feature and raise your hand and we will assist you. If you have questions during the webinar, please use the chat feature and raise your hand and we'll assist you. If you have questions during the webinar, please feel free to submit them anytime through the chat feature. If time permits, at the end or during the webinar, our speakers will respond to your questions. I will now very briefly introduce our speakers. Robert W. Hostoffer, DO, is a Program Director for the Allergy and Immunology Fellowship at University Hospitals in Ohio. His program has attained osteopathic recognition. Dr. Hostoffer also practices at Allergy Immunology Associates in Mayfield Heights, Ohio. Additionally, he's a clinical professor at the Ohio University Heritage College of Osteopathic Medicine in Athens and an associate professor at Case Western Reserve University in Cleveland. Dr. Hostoffer earned his osteopathic medical degree from the Philadelphia College of Osteopathic Medicine. He completed his residency training at Doctors Hospital in Columbus, Ohio, and a fellowship in pediatric immunology from the University of Alabama at Birmingham. Dr. Hostoffer also serves as chair of the AACOM UME-GME Continuum Initiative Scholarship and Research Working Group. Michael P. Rowane, DO, is a professor of family medicine and osteopathic manipulative medicine and associate dean of clinical education for the Lake Erie College of Osteopathic Medicine. He is past president of the AAO and has overseen their program director workshops and co-directed their faculty development programs. He also co-directs AACOM's National Osteopathic Faculty Development Initiative, training the osteopathic profession's core educators, TOPKI, and served as a member of the AACGME Osteopathic Principals Committee. Dr. Rowane also chairs the AACOM UME-GME Continuum Initiative's Faculty Development Working Group. Dr. Rowane is a graduate of Des Moines University and completed his family medicine residency at Hammett Medical Center in Erie, Pennsylvania. We're so thrilled to have Drs. Rowane and Hostoffer as presenters today. I'll now turn it over to Dr. Hostoffer.
Thank you so much, and welcome everyone to this webinar. We're excited, Mike and I are excited about discussing the events and the things that have been created for Tools for Success. We're going to be reviewing the Scholar Series with osteopathic faculty development, and in particular we're going to be focusing on how this fits into ACGME osteopathic recognition.
Yeah, I think as Bob's saying too, the focus is Tools for Success, and that's one of the ideas. Many people are going into this saying, gee, we're trying to get our programs transitioning to the ACGME. We're thinking of recognition. A few things have us stuck. We're stuck with how can we solve activity, and other ones, gee, how can it help with faculty development? And I think at the end of this, hopefully, we'll solve that.
We'll solve that problem. But I'd like to thank our sponsors, in particular, I'd like to thank LECOM for helping us out, and also for the American Academy of Osteopathy, and then also University Hospitals Osteopathic Consortium. Everyone has had a really big part in helping us develop our series. So the Scholar Series, Mike will talk about that. It's educational support for both the osteopathic UME and GME periods of training. There's going to be a lot we'll talk about the research curriculum, faculty development, ACGME osteopathic recognition, both research training and faculty development, and an access to published scholarly activity as well.
Yeah, what we're trying to do is right now, as we're going through this transition, everyone's trying to look and say, how are we going to be successful in the single accreditation? I just let you know that, a lot of this came out, as Bob mentioned, when my previous position, I was at University Hospitals Director of Medical Education, the community, we had programs transitioning, and I approached Bob and said, gee, I'm kind of nervous. How are we going to help move these things? And we honestly partnered with LECOM with that, and We looked at areas to help people develop as teachers, but the other area more apprehensive is how do we help develop a scholarly atmosphere with all these sites? We had new virgin hospitals too. And Dr. Hostoffer honestly worked with one of his senior fellows at that time, who's now in the faculty at University of West Virginia, Brian Peppers, who's a DO PhD, and they came up with a whole template of things we're going to share. And creating a resource for it. I want to thank Bob on behalf of the profession because he personally created the grants to help fund this. And the deal with it was it had to be free. There would be no inhibitions for our profession to move forward and do well. And it's become a wonderful resource. When we're done with this, I think we're hoping that you'll get a feel for what you can do. And you see, my program doesn't have a curriculum. I don't know what I can teach my faculty. I think we're going to have things as a starting point, an area to help you with that for both developing scholarly activity for learners as well as the faculty, and also specific faculty development that helps with osteopathic recognition.
So I think, as Mike talked about, we've just developed this model, and so is Mike, Brian, and myself, and we looked to look at the model of scholarly activity to define, advance, and promote an osteopathic perspective. Again, we did it through AACOM and the initiative with university hospitals. And again, it was all three of us, and we looked at, we developed this series, and the series is available at multiple websites, AAO, AOA, AOGME, AACOM, LECOM, OOA, and then ACOI, and just multiple other ones. And it sort of memed throughout the profession, throughout different places. So we put it up, it got very popular, and then we couldn't stop it. So it started with Scholar 7. Scholar 7 were professionally performed videotapes or video sessions that talked about the development of a scholarly project, and basically writing a grant and then going through each one of these. And we actually, it was pretty much distilling the process of scholarly work or doing a grant or doing a paper. And then in addition, it also demystified. So I think people were all scared about what scholarly work did, or how do we do it, and you'll see that in all the series of trying to demystify that. And Scholar 4 was how to make an abstract, how to make a poster, how to make a paper, how to make a manuscript. And again, demystifying it, distilling it down to its basic roots of how to do it, so just following through. Scholar Specific looked at pretty much just how to write a case report. And Scholar 7 Capstone was the idea that osteopathic research wasn't much different than any other research or scholarly work you would have done in your department. And so that was part of it. And the Scholar 12 is coming out. It'll be probably done by the end of the month, and this was done along with AOGME and LECOM, in particularly LECOM, in helping us do a app. So we'll talk about that a little later. And then also Scholar Teacher, and this is the one Mike really pushed for, and looking, and there'll be more to come through this, but this is really important for your AACOM osteopathic recognition, in particular to faculty development. So these are little snippets, they're little snapshots, 10 to 15 minute osteopathic training sessions where you could throw it up on your PEC meeting or your CCC meeting or any other faculty meeting you're going to be doing. It takes 15 minutes, and you're doing faculty development.
Yeah, I think one thing to understand with this, too, is this series was not put together for a well-trained researcher, but it's so good for them. It was meant for a clinician who's out in the community, specifically more of an osteopathic physician, and observations, an idea. In the Scholar 7, it was, I see an observation, I have an idea, and, I see something clinically, and then following it through to say, well, how to take an idea, you see an observation as a clinician and move that into something you submit to an IRB. So again, which I think, again, Dr. Bob brought up, demystify, because it was like, this isn't going to be a challenging process. We're going to show you how you can learn the process with this.
And I think that Mike's correct on that. And I think that when you can use this for quality improvement projects too, because I think we all think when we hear research, we have to have a bench, we have to have a lab, we have to do this, we have to have all these different materials. But in actuality, it's just based on our observations. As is osteopathic medicine in general, is that we have terrific and wonderful observations. We just have to look through them and go through Scholar 7. And then the faculty development we all think we have to be the osteopathic guru for that. No, it isn't that. It's utilizing this method.
I will just mention about the capstone for the Scholar 7 is that it was an example where you did a couple cases and we had students and residents in one group, another group, taking different scenarios of something you see clinically, how you work through the process too. So, but one thing we've always run into is anytime we try to do things, there's obstacles. Like, well, what's the problem? Well, I think this transition, I've seen a lot of folks that are exhausted say, my gosh, this move from the AOA to the ACGME, it's been an exhausting process, and how we're doing it. And the ACGME has a term they call, kind of learning environment. And so part of it when you transition into it is, am I getting that learning environment going through it? The ACGME was a little more strict, and they wanted more scholarly activity requirements. And they also very much wanted faculty development. Now, you're going to move and say, I'm going to get recognition. Now it's not just that learning environment, but it's an osteopathic learning environment. Boy, how do I create that? How do I make those things kind of go? And how do I meet the scholarly activity that's unique for osteopathic recognition, and how do faculty development that's unique for osteopathic recognition?
So, whoops. Sorry.
Got carried away there.
Got carried away there.
Yeah.
So there are others. There are other obstacles, and it's taking in part the learner. So Mike just talked a little bit about the teacher, but the learner. So one final obstacle was left to overcome, and it was the millennials. There are different types of learners. Their time is used differently. They use technology efficiently and expect technology to be the same. So in the near future, you'll be seeing Scholar 12, and Scholar 12 is an app. So that's what we did. So we have proposed and are creating an application that allows the millennials to participate in scholarly work while standing for coffee or waiting for their attending arrival, but also allows them to establish teams and schedule meetings at their own convenience, all the while they move through steps previously created by the Scholar series. So we're utilizing 7-4 specific within Scholar 12. It allows them to move through this, and again, 12 is as part of our initiative for the task force, and it should be ready very soon.
To give you an idea about it, again, when you look at it, why did this happen? Well, initially when we started, again, I think the perspective we can see is we had these new community hospitals, and I had to train these individuals to be comfortable. We moved into it. Faculty had not taught before doing it. So the idea when Scholar 7 was set up was, I got an idea. I see an idea as a clinician. How do I move that to something in IRB? And then, if you're going to ever publish something, you have to know how to write an abstract and a poster, how to paper it, how do you present it? And those skills are put together. And then we also thought, what's the most important thing you want to be able to do, especially first-time learners in scholarly activity, and that's case report. Well, and I think that's all nice and good, all those things are together, but we're required to have a curriculum. So when we looked at all these things we developed, said, how can we organize all these things so they can put it together and make it work more seamlessly and bring it together and create that osteopathic learning environment? And that is what was kind of came out of Scholar 12. And the other piece with it is, I think Bob, kind of one of my heroes in a sense, because he's a great model of an adult learner. He has published extensively, but he went back and said, I want to be better. And he got his master's in medical education at AACOM and have to do a major project, and this is what came out of it, this project.
Yeah, this was my master's thesis, and this changes things. Scholar 7, Scholar 4, and Scholar Specific were sort of band-aids. You just use them when you need them. But Scholar 12 actually will propose the development of a culture, a scholarly culture within the institution, by getting groups together. So once you've done it once, you move through it again and again and again, you develop that culture. So the other thing is, so it's a computer application that says through the cell phone or a pad, enabling the student, residents, and attending physicians to create scholarly work utilizing an andragogical flipped classroom developed from millennials. See, I'm using those words from that master's. Those are those words I've learned. So again, so we're trying to create something that would be easier for the learner and easier for the teacher as well. And I think that is where we're headed.
Again, I've got 5 daughters, so they're very different. My kids know computers better than I do and going through it, and they use these apps and stuff, but that's where learners at. I think if I look back and be reflective, I think when I remember myself as a third year, osteopathic medical student. I remember I had these, the short coat, and my gosh, I couldn't fit any more books in each of those pockets and going through it. That's not where people are at today. And looking at it, and they used apps. They used the very smartphones they have. So one of the goals with this is to create an app, because that is app so they can follow things together and bring a curriculum so they can get this, develop a scholarly activity and develop themselves here, but also fits in with the community hospitals, and it fits in environments they're at. So whether they're in a clinical setting that may be an ambulatory setting or a community hospital, or it could be at a major university hospital, it's irrelevant. Wherever they're at, and even at a coffee shop, it's right, because that's when learners have a break. They have a time. They use themselves. But that makes it very convenient. Again, think of obstacles as educators and removing obstacles.
So the objectives, again, the learner, after participating in this Scholar 12 session, will understand and be able to create a laddered, mentored culture in their hospital. The learner, after participating in the sessions, will view scholarly work as enjoyable, because there's going to be little incentives within. It will be gamified to that effect, and so you'll be able to play through it. And it's going. The developer called it the mother of all apps. That's what he told me. So I'm looking forward to seeing a really nice app. And then the learner will be able to, after participating in the session, to develop an IRB application, proper grant, abstract, poster, paper, and oral presentation. So you remember, as you're going through this, it's going to take a year to go through the app, but at the end, it'll be profitable. It'll be scholarly profitable.
So one thing that's very helpful is we're looking at any of our training programs is, how do we know we're doing what we're doing? And you have to have these goals, the objectives themselves, but you want to evaluate where you're at. So the thing where this is moving towards is, this is not a passive learning. We have to engage people in doing it. And many people have seen kind of the learning pyramids. And you know that if someone just sits there, if you go to a Charlie Brown movie, and you look at the teacher, you'd hear them in the background going, rah, 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 but they also show that model has about a 10% getting through it. When people are actively involved, it's the other end. It's 90%. They're doing it. So the idea here is, we're going to move this through. But also, you're saying, well, how do I know people have done it? How have you gone through it? So one thing, again, with the Master of Medical Education, and it was kind of led by Dr. Mark Terrell, AACOM, and helping with, they wanted to create ways to observe it and look at evaluations and different rubrics so you could follow along to make sure someone's progressing well and doing well. And of course, again, as you're going into residency training programs or in the undergraduate areas with our comms, those allow you to show those markers that people are getting that and are being successful.
And that's what will come out of the 12. So you'll have this active learning component in the rubrics, and every section and every component will have a grading system. So again, Scholar 12 allows millennials to advance in the 12 units by their phone while standing in line for coffee or waiting for rounds. And believe me, you just go in the hospital and you just walk around, you just see people, the students, they're all stuck to their cell phones. And hopefully if we get them stuck to their cell phones and they're doing scholarly work while they're doing that, they can read, they can visualize a YouTube, and they can read things on PubMed, they can go to the Scholar Series at a touch of their fingers, and it provides a framework by which scholarly work may progress throughout the day or organized in informal settings. They can actually move into organized sessions later on if they like, but they move through as a group, reading and being guided through in different sessions.
Yeah. So when you look at anything that you're doing, and this is, again, a little busy slide and seeing it, but this is the idea themselves. You create, again, the SWOT, the strength, weaknesses, the opportunity, the threats. You look at, I've got to create this environment with my learners, and what things that this is a requirement. Strengths, you have this requirement, so doing that themselves. But weakness, maybe we don't have some of the ability to do this or perceived ability to do this and resources themselves. This is creating this opportunity. We're providing with all the skills and developing these tools. So what the app is doing is it's taking all of these things that the Scholar 7 and the video links and 4 and the specific with case report along with city training, and allow you to systematically do it in a logical, coherent way with added educational features. So we go from, I don't really have much of a curriculum, to I have a robust curriculum, because that threat of not having things and not maintaining it. Now, when you're submitting your application, or showing what you're doing, said, we're utilizing this. and I don't know if we mentioned before, but what's that cost for this thing again?
Oh, it's free.
Free, okay.
Yeah.
So you know, the barriers, well, I only can afford this doing it. You know, all these groups have come together to help sponsor it. We call them the Academy, AACOM is working with us themselves, the University Hospitals, the Osteopathic Consortium, because we realize it takes a team together to help it and to help the profession and going through it.
So, you know, the Scholar 12 is divided into 12 units, and each unit will have a little bit of a different phenomena. So we'll be talking about mentorship in Unit 1, Unit 2, the fun of scholarship, number 3, the query, number 4, the IRB, number 5, grant development, number 6, IRB submission, number 7, IRB approval, the start of your project, and Unit 8, abstract development, Unit 9, poster development, Unit 10, manuscript development, Unit 11, oral presentation, Unit 12, case presentation. So, and then each one of these has a timing. So they're on a time schedule. So they have to get these things done and move through these. And there's plenty of time. I sort of geared it through that. And I put case presentation at 12, but throughout every unit, you're getting reminded if you see something, if you see this low-lying hanging fruit of a case report, it says move to 12 and then write this up. So it kind of tells you that keep doing what you're doing. You see a case report, write it up. And so you get the added benefit of low-lying fruit.
Yeah, and it's a recommended approach. I mean, the programs can alter and do things, but that, I think, is a realistic one. I think to get a better feel, so what is he talking about? Let's look at one unit. You know, how do you do this? And we gave kind of a time to complete things. So we look at mentorship. You know, how do you create this laddered mentor culture? In other words, what we're trying to do is to be successful, and we all know we have to have people have to buy in. They've got to be connected to it. They have got to have a paradigm shift. And the paradigm shift moving from our traditional AOA programs into the AACOM and AACOM recognition requires us to have this paradigm shift. All the value, that unique osteopathic approach you want to maintain in a postgraduate setting. So in this one here, we want to make sure the students themselves could look at how they could create this scholarly thing in their setting. Could be a community hospital, could be an ambulatory setting, could be in a university setting, again, could be in a AACOM. And you want to make sure you find the champions. And you know the people who are always enthusiastic. So if you ever, I have a lot of kids, so if you think of Winnie the Pooh, it's kind of Tigger. You know, who's always excited about it? You know, I may not recommend Eeyore to be the one you pick for this. So get Tigger, but get the people who are interested that want to do it. And the other thing is, one of the things that we did is we tried to take away a little sidebar with this, but some people are intimidated by things, and they say, well, I don't want to do it. I've been attending for 20 years. I don't want to do it. If I don't know it now, I can't do it, and I hate to show the people I don't know how to do these things. Well, this is a team. You know, the students, they know what the facts are. They know how to set things up. Now they work as a team together. So everyone does something, and it helps enhance their own portfolios, but also brings a team together. And then that whole groups themselves, that they help mentor themselves and the organization, and they discuss these plans. And you create these learning activities. What I loved about the 12 of them, while put it together, was he said, look, how do you do this? There's a lot of things. Here's some articles you can do. Then you'll find what are the key things you have to do at the Scholar Series to get that. So it'll go to the video clips you need to see for that time. We're using reflection a lot, because what I like about reflection is how do you perceive it? And that's a great thing for portfolios that are seen both in our comms that they want to see with that now, and AACOM really wants to see that. And those reflective pieces help move themselves. Other thing is what they love to do. They look at how they, they look at blogs. How they respond to things. So you give them a couple things to respond to it, and what obstructions you encounter. And you try. How do you overcome this thing? Because again, the goal of this is to give them autonomy. So we're going to kind of work them through it to develop themselves. Again, there's key reading assignments, and there's the videos. Where do you go to get that? So all the tools there and the blog.
So there's also a grading assessment for the learner. So when the attending or the leader is looking through it at the end of Scholar 12, he'll look through a certain category. So every one of the 12s are listed on that y-axis, and you can see over the top of the x-axis, they're going to get graded, whether they know how, they show how, or they do it. And I've learned this is through my master's course of grading these individuals of how they move through it. Do they really know, and they really comprehend, and can they really do it? And so at the end of Scholar 12, each one will have an assessment. And this is very important because at the end you have an assessment tool for your program. So we can go through that very easily.
Yeah, another thing is feedback, because with any educational system, they're always looking to say, are we getting it better? We've obviously incorporated into this its own quality improvement, because if we're going to do this right, let's also model it in ourselves and be completely reflective. So there's feedback we put at the end of it, and then we collect and use to refine the app. So this app is still going to develop, because if we're telling people we need to develop and improve ourselves, let's also use it within what we're doing itself. And so constantly improve it. We get feedback. People say, well, there's a little glitchy for me here. Boy, there's a new article just came out here that maybe would help out with doing that. And I think we're hoping also some really good educators will come through. And also we want really the novices to say, I haven't done this before. That was really good, but I didn't get this. Okay, let's do something to help get that. I mean, so, I think with all good educators, your ego is low because the intent is, how do we all get things better?
And then this is the model for the feedback, the rubrics. And again, it looks through on the x-axis the excellent, above average, and et cetera down the line that the reviewer, the individual student or the attending would review. And after each one of the Scholar 12 sections that you're going to review is how can we make it better? And we'll review at the end of the year this probably somewhere time in June that we'll probably pick it up again, look at it with the developer, look at the comments, see how much, see how we can improve it to make it better for the learner and also for the teacher.
Yeah, I'm going through it. One other problem we have to come to is, we can do these things, but, when I began my academic career as a Case Western Reserve University, my chair took me in and he basically said, well, I'll tell you, Mike, you have to do things, but if you never write it out or if it doesn't get published, it never happened. And and so there's expectation for doing it. And many of us weren't trained to do that. And going through it, again, this whole system is set up as a way for a novice, for someone who's not an expert at this, or maybe has just minimal background but wanted a more organized structure to go through it. Now, through the use of this app, one pathway it does is this development of a whole new journal, because we need to get access to published scholar activity for the residents and the faculty. We've got to advance an osteopathic learning environment. So you see a great concept in doing things, where are you going to do it? So at the end of that whole project that you've worked on together, this app will now allow you to submit it to the journal. And we have right there we have the website you can go to, www.scholarcomplete.com. You can one word all together, kind of like very much so to get it,
So I think that, so Scholar Journal, we all thought about this together. And this is, we're not competing with anyone. It's for pilot studies and validation studies. So this would be a resident study or a faculty. So if you look at junior faculty. And so when you look at studies that are done, you got, sometimes 2 to 3 years, maybe just 2 years in the residency to finish a process. But you got 1 year to get your data, another year to get the manuscript out and put it through. So typically, there's not a lot of numbers. The end values are small, or you're validating some other study, and most journals don't take those. Most journals want original.
Or they limit.
Yeah, limit number. This journal wants those. We want those, and we're working on getting a PubMed number for that. So it's designed for case reports, pilot studies. It provides scholarly activity for osteopathic medical students. AACOM requires scholarly activity. It links. If you look on the right side of this, slide, you can see the format of the journal, and then on the left side of that front page of the journal,
and that web page, and you open it up. So if you do the www.scholarcomplete.com, you're going to see this. You're going to see that whole thing there, and that's opens up to you.
Yeah. And you can go into each one of those, and then you can go right to Scholar 7 for specific 12 teacher. You can go through, and then the cover shows what we really think. That's the middle of the page, the lower page, is that our motto is courage, humility, intensity, and consistency. And that is pretty much what a scholarly culture is. It's a move forward. Every one of my fellows gets a pen with those initials on it, CHIC, at the end of the year, because I hope they take it with them, that we we have the courage to make these steps into scholarly work, the humility to know that we'll need help. We'll need help on a lot of different occasions, just like that picture of that person being pulled up. We're going to need help. And we all do. And then intensity is how strong we do it, and consistency, how often we do the right thing, and when doing it, repeating it. So
it's a good formula for success.
It is. It is. I mean, I use it. I mean, I crew, and this is what I do. I mean, you got to get courage enough to get in the boat, this tiny boat. You got this big person getting in a tiny boat. You got courage enough to get in there. You have to be humble enough to take orders from a teenager that's sitting in the front at the cox, and then them telling you what you're doing wrong. And then the intensity is every time you pull on the oar, to have that intensity and the consistency that every stroke is the same. So it's the same with scholarly work, the same with research.
One thing, stepping back, is when we talk about this OSFI learning environment, one concern people have come to us and said, gee, how do we make this happen? I mean, how do I help to the fact? I got a lot of MDs who are interested in doing things, and how do we create things? And pretty much, isn't this something that's more focused towards like an NNM specialist or a family physician? They do more of these things, and not so much for a specialist. So this led to a whole new thing with a partnership with the American Academy of Osteopathy, with University Hospitals OSFI Consortium, and the Lake Erie College of Osteopathic Medicine, working with us to create this whole new series called Scholar Teacher, to help create a whole faculty development set of resources, now like the term Scholar Teacher.
So Scholar Teacher, we start out, and it's a set of videos, so it will, as you look through it, it starts with just the plain old introduction. So there's a set of buttons you'll push, and you go to the introductory component. It'll be me talking a little bit about how to flow through this, and how to flow through the entire teacher series. You'll have another individual, Dr. Paul Evans, who helped us tremendously on this, and we're building on this. I mean, we're building. This is not just the end. This is the start, and he actually goes through the basic teaching principles. So. And there's a discussion on that, a full discussion. So in itself, this introduction can serve as a great faculty development at the beginning of the year.
And that's when you can send it to other faculty and say, hey, look, I want you to look at these basic teaching principles. If you're in a AACOM and say, look, our community preceptors, here's something that can help you understand how this works. If you're using all the faculty themselves, and acknowledge that as part of it. One thing like the beginning that Bob did with the Scholar Teacher, he gave an overview of, hey guys, here's where we're at and here's where we're going, at that too. One thing we did is, Dr. Evans and I have a core textbook that we have, and honestly, wrapping up the second edition soon with that. And when we were doing it, this is, I think, a benefit of the master's program. When Bob was going through it, the original idea that we'd come in and I'll give a presentation on one of my chapters, and we'll just present that to the allergy immunology fellows. And after kind of being reflective, we said, well, that's not really helpful. Let's do something different. So what we did is we took the chapter and broke it into about 8 mini modules. Instead of here's the chapter, and in it, almost like a Charlie Brown lecture, giving that. It said no, let's talk about it, and let's take a different population. So the population we took was someone you may not think about, because the truth is, Osteopathic recognition is not just for someone in family medicine or NNM specialist. Recognition is meant for every specialty in the osteopathic profession, and offering everyone, whether MD or DO, to have access to an osteopathic perspective in every specialty. So using the allergy immunology fellows who came from either a peds or internal medicine background, now as a subspecialist, using them as the junior faculty to model it was an ideal setting. So what we did is I broke into each of these sections, and I present an area themselves, but instead of teaching that area, it was talking to the fellows as colleagues and as junior faculty and saying, how do we teach this? So the focus there wasn't on the content of, here I'm going to just talk to you about this, is how do you teach this to people? And then they would have a dialogue where each fellow was brought into 2 groups with a faculty facilitator, and with that group, they had to act as 2 roles in each one of them. So you're going to be the physician, teacher, or you're the student, learner. And they would then go through each of those sections. So we break into each module, which would be short, 10 to 20 minutes each one, of demonstrating the content, and then also with that was how they were teaching that in that first phase.
And then after you've gotten the mini modules, and again, this first set, this is going to be the model how we do other things, but this modular, these modules were based on the thoracic, because everybody, whether you're internal medicine, family practice, pediatrics, internal medicine, you have issues and you have things that you take care of in the thoracic cavity. So we utilize that in these models. And so after we went through the mini modules, there is a skill prompt. So the skill prompt reviews, very quick, reviews what you just learned, 1 to 2 minutes, very short. So really cool stuff to do for faculty development. But we don't have a lot of time as faculty. We have to do paperwork, we have to do evaluations, we have to teach, we have to see patients. And so the time that we have is very valuable. So taking that into consideration, creating these short segments of 1 to 2 minutes can really provide a very quick, and again, if you utilize this throughout the year, it provides saying, okay, I'm doing this throughout the year. It's just not 1, 2 minutes, but I'm doing multiple ones. It could be every month, every week, and movement through.
Yeah, in other words, you understand too, is our goal is that this was just the first model that we're trying to do different models like, but this is the template for it. So maybe we have the whole 15, 20-minute section we have, but now you say, look, I don't have time, but I did that before. How can I review it? Now we made it so easy for you. Said we're going to make sure they have the 1 to 2 minutes to summarize it, so you can just go to that to refresh yourself.
Exactly. And then,
well, the other thing too is, how do we really make the junior faculty show what they're at? So what we did then is we broke it into now maybe 4 major areas, and we brought in a group of our AACOM students, and we had 4 of the fellows become that teacher, where they had to teach that one section. And after we did they demonstrated how they were teaching that one section, we took a timeout, a reflective timeout. We had that junior faculty, that eligibility fellow, say, well, how did I feel going through this? And that's where Dr. Paul Evans came in as our facilitator for that. Paul's a master teacher, and he ended up working with them and gave their reflection. Then went to teach the students, well, how do you feel that went and going through it? Getting that reflective dialogue through it. And then Paul gave facilitated comment and feedback to each of them about how we can make the process better. And I think a lot of people say, well, is this a model of a perfect way of doing things? No, because I think we've got to tell ourselves, again, you don't have to be a perfect NM specialist, and I'm an FAO type, so obviously I like, those kind of, showing things, precision. But, osteopathy is something that's not just for a select group, it's for all of us. And all of our organizations want to promote that. And let's all look at ways to constantly get better, too.
So you see how this whole scholar teacher works. There's a larger lecture teaching you what you need to teach, and then it really moves you to show you how you can teach this. How do I teach this? And then review and seeing how other people have taught it. So it moves you right through that. So this is just the start. There'll be other ones. This is the format we'll be using. But we'll also be looking at other things like the lymphatics. We'll be doing one scholar teacher on lymphatics. We'll do one lecture series, probably, I think, one on the cranium.
Others. We're going to take different body regions. We're going to look at different approaches. I think the idea is, we're going to hopefully keep building on this because we want to show different models. And we're going to try to do also different specialties, how different specialties interpret that and going through it. So when you think of it, again, I'm not knocking primary care. It's great. I'm from that background. But also, I think we've got to see that there is a rich and robust potential. Again, we went to lymphatics because what's a great area in allergy immunology. We're also looking at areas like dermatology because there's a lot of unique things from there. So we're looking at other specialties that demonstrate this as well.
And so the big idea is that we've carried through the entire scholar process is to distill. So this scholar teacher has distilled the knowledge and brought it to a usable form for everybody to review, and then also to demystify. Because I think that's one of the problems. Yeah. Well, how can I teach OM-M? I'm not an expert. I'm not this. I'm not that. But if you look at these, it really distills it down that you can teach it. You've learned it in medical school, and you teach it.
And it's a different model. And I'll be honest, when Paul and I developed our book and things we did it because we are part of an outcome study training novice MDs. And so there has been some liberties in how we approach some of the techniques to give a model, that may be more easier. So you say, well, some of those rules are not following all of those things. There's been some modification because as adult learners, we have to find methods that are effective. And how do you teach that? And then it gives a chance, once the learners get a fundamental approach, hey, let's build them up and go to the next level of things too. So, I think also is, where are we at here? We're in the midst of this whole single accreditation, and we're moving all our AOE programs into this themselves. And again, inclusion, what are we thinking about? But it's our desire. We've got to create scholarly culture, but in osteopathic faculty development, we want our profession we want it to move on, but also we want it to move to a whole different level. I think all learners are capable of performing work, but a lot of people don't have how to do it. I mean, the people who want to do it, we want to do this. How do you create a roadmap? This is doing themselves. The 12 I liked about it gives a chance for students, residents, fellows, attendings to work as a team, because that's what we're looking at. We're interprofessional. We're looking at areas for interdisciplinary work, but also within our specialties themselves, and develop this culture. The teacher, again, is this faculty development for aesthetic learning environment. And hopefully, again, all these groups are working together, the American Academy of Osteopathy, the AACOM, obviously University Hospitals here, and the Lake Erie College of Osteopathic Medicine are all doing together. We want to preserve our profession, and we're all pulling together to help make this work.
And what I really think is really cool is that both of these, I'm on the task force for scholarly work at the AOGME,
and I'm in charge. I'm the one leading the task force for the faculty development for that. So we're both pushing these things out, and both of them are very, very much needed. And
since it's free, are we getting kickbacks for this?
No kickbacks.
Okay, that's right. Okay, yeah.
So
no matter what, there's no cost. Everybody keeps asking us, what do you
what's your angle?
Yeah, what's your angle? And it really isn't an angle.
There's no angle.
There's no angle. This is for the profession. And I think that, thanks to the AOGME for putting us in charge and helping us move through this and helping, in the future to distribute this. And then for the American Academy of Osteopathy, who has been very supportive and been moving this forward and letting us use Mike in a lot of these processes, and University Hospital Osteopathic Consortium for allowing us to use their facilities and for using their resources, and then LECOM for sure for being a really supreme sponsor of our program and utilizing their students for a lot of the program.
Yeah, we've had. I mean, the case studies we did, the case report really was the group of students doing it, and I think it gets it real in a way to do things.
So, I'm going to just say thank you right now. And
I say thank you too.
And you say thank you.
I'll thank you too. We'll both say thank you.
And thank you for listening to the Bob and
Mike show. Yes.
There'll be other ones, other YouTube available if you'd like.
Going through it, and I think we might have a chance to do some questions up here, and let's see if we have them. And let's see.
If there's any questions, just go ahead and type them in. I don't think we're speaking, but
yeah, we got them right here, and see. Read anything you might have there. See if there's anything that's come across.
Nothing yet.
Only one at a time.
Yeah, one at a time. Don't rush. Save the work on the fingers.
Yes.
So Mike, maybe I have a question for you. So how, when do you think we're going to be getting this out there? I mean, I think 12 will probably come out at the end of the month.
Well, the good news right now is if you go to www.scholarcomplete.com, you can start everything. And most of our groups, like the American Academy of Osteopathy, for its member, has links. So people can go to LECOM, we have links set into it. AACOM has links. The Ohio Osteopathic Association has links. I mean, so a lot of them have links to get access to it. I will acknowledge the Academy is working to help for the Scholar Teacher to get some CME credit for those areas. The AOA helped with that with some of the Scholar 7, other areas to get some CME. So certain groups will help us with that component. So people are asking about that. But today, right now, you can go and you get access to those things. Again, the Scholar 12 will be coming out soon, in the app form. And when that hits, I think with all our groups, we'll be kind of putting out a big blast for that for folks. And how expensive will that app be?
Again, it's free.
Free, okay.
It's just not a dime. We talked about that. Mike and I, we got it down and saying, well, if you charge $30, would anybody use it? No, nobody would use it. How about 20? No, not 20. How about 10? No, nobody will use it for 10. How about $1? No. Dime? No. And let's just make it free. Couldn't get it done any cheaper. So.
Well, and also, seriously, I mean, this is a joint venture of kind of each of the groups. Now, each group's going to have certain things that, obviously we want to encourage membership and being part of those things with our groups and developing additional resources. But this is a one joint effort because we want to bring people into it. Oh, it looks like there's a question here.
So, thank you for this question. So, I think that you were asking about rib dysfunction. Yeah, so that's in the faculty development. So faculty development, that is rib dysfunction.
Yeah. So just so we did there is that for the faculty development, we decided we're going to take like one topic and we're going to go through one topic at a time and really distill down to all elements with that. So the first model topic we did, outside the introductory lectures themselves, is we decided let's focus on one of the chapters in Paul's My book, and that was looking at the thoracic cage. And with that, we broke the chapter out to 8 different sections of it. And we, again, created those mini modules where we had teaching. So very distillable portions where we talked about how do you teach it, and then showed the eligibility as junior faculty demonstrating teaching it. Then those skill prompts were let's do a little summary for each of those 8 areas, so those 1 to 2 minute blips. And then we did showing the sections where we broke it into 4 core areas, which is a little more lengthy, which became more of a in-depth look at the fellow teaching that section to students and that feedback itself here. So in the future, we take on another topic, we're going to do the same exact model for it. So each one, you have like 24 different, or so different mini videos that are with that one section. So you can, do that in one setting. You could break it up over a period of time. And the goal is over time, we're hoping to build up a real repository of these in multiple areas.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that, from our standpoint, it would be the rib dysfunction for faculty development.
Yeah, yeah.
So there's another question. Is there a link that I can go to find these modules? There will be. There will be.
Well, today you can.
Okay.
I do believe, of course, I think so. If not, it'll be up soon, but definitely the www.scholarcomplete.com, open up to that webpage, and to the left side, Dr. Brian Peppers, who's he put things there and helped set it up so you could go through all of those things there as well, get access. If you're in the American Academy of Osteopathy, has access to get into themselves, each of the groups too. So again, this is one it's all a collective work of all of us to bring everyone forward.
And if you're interested just in Scholar 7.4 in specific, just go to your browser and type in Scholar 7 no space. It will bring up all the websites that have that. The one that probably is easier access to get through is the OOA, so the Ohio Osteopathic Association. Or the AAO, and they'll be listed on it. Click whatever one you want familiar with, and it will take you right to a scholar session.
In LECOM, we LECOM we got in our school for something we put it on our portal. So and we opened it up for other. Again, this was open for everyone to have access to.
Yeah. I think you can get. Thank you. So there's the link there. Yep. Okay. So I think that if you if you go to AOA. And to the Minerva site, it's listed there, and you could use them and get CME credits as well.
Yeah, and like I said, the Academy is working on a process to help get because we just came out with Scholar Teacher. We're going through the process of helping to get some CME credit through that as well.
Yeah, so I think there's a lot of availability, and we're hoping that when we put this thing all together, it's a work in process. It's
curriculum. It's curriculum. You're evolving it. We've created the basics. We're still building on it. There'll be more introductory lectures coming on. There's more specific things we're looking at developing. We're looking at some added things for other research things. We have requests to get more like on IRB and how that works. We're getting requests on quality improvement projects.
Yeah.
So Bob and I are trying to figure out which things we can go to next. Yeah, we got it. So it's going to be growing because it's also become a wonderful avenue for scholarly activity for the fellows and residents and the students.
And again, the reason why we're doing it is because it worked for us. It's worked.
Yeah.
So it worked in my program. Mike and I, we worked hard on the osteopathic recognition, but I think that when you look at 7.4 specific, these have worked. We've done that.
And because I think the work on that Dr. Terrell led the Master's in Medical Education with LECOM, and when I saw Bob had developed the rubrics to evaluate it, again, in your applications for your curriculum, you can use this whole model. You've got all these things to evaluate it, to follow it, to make sure things are coming along. So if you say, I don't know what kind of curriculum I'm going to use, you've got this.
Yep. And you want to say what kind of faculty development you have it. You have faculty development.
Yeah.
And these are all important things, components. So they're just waiting to be used.
Yeah.
Here's one from Kevin's. Scholar Complete. Okay. Will Scholar 12 lead to any partnership to Scholar Pilot? Yeah. So it will at the end of the at the end of Scholar 12, there will be the motion to push things into Scholar Complete.
Yeah. So the idea is it helps you kind of work through the whole process. And I have to take Bob's word for it, but he's working with the developer. But but I think it's what we call the mother of all apps because it's taking all these things together. So it links you to get all the training and then work through the project with the group. And then once you've done it, it's cleaned up. So you have now a final paper that's been done through the app, and you can press it, and it helps. So it's trying to take away all the barriers, like, oh my gosh, how do I submit a paper? I mean, that's, it's taking all those barriers away.
And it's distill, demystify, and remove barriers.
Yeah.
And we've tried to do that all along. But and we're hoping that through that, as we look through it, what we get out of it is that we'll be able to see the people utilizing it, and then hopefully we'll be able to understand, what we can do better, and how to move things forward. And yeah, that's all we want out of it, and I think we're having a lot of fun doing it.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Glad to wear everyone out. Okay.
I think everybody's kind of tired. At the end of the day, everybody's just tired.
Yeah. We got to thank you at the last comment. So I think that was their subtle way of saying, okay, you guys are done.
Done. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thanks again.
Thanks again, everyone. We'll send it back to Anieta.
Thank you all. I actually have a quick question. For Scholar Teacher, what are the next steps? I know that there are 4 sessions already available on Scholar Complete, but are there plans to add additional videos in the future?
Oh my gosh, yeah. See, the model we have there, we took one topic area, is that area itself led to about 20 plus, there's more than that, because 20 videos was centered around the thoracic cage, and there was also some introductory ones as well. So what happened is the next section we may do like another body region or another core topic. We're going to do the same model. And the idea we wanted to do is we didn't want to make it so here's an hour presentation or 2-hour workshop to go through. That's exhausting. We want to have it so we have busy people in their lives so that they can distill it down and say, hey, we're going to do this over the next month or 2, or when it works for people to do it, or, flip classroom. See this and come in and we're going to do it.
Yep.
Let's start doing innovative things. So yeah, this is just the framework of the model we're going to do for subsequent areas. So our goal is to keep building these up and have multiple ones as time goes on.
Thank you.
Sure.
So seeing no other questions coming in, I'll go ahead and close the webinar. I want to thank Drs. Hostoffer and Rowane for this presentation and all the great resources you've developed and shared with us today, and to all who joined us. The webinar recording and PowerPoint presentations will be posted on the AOGME's webinars webpage shortly. If you have any questions or want to learn more about AOGME's webinars, please visit acom.org/AOGME or contact us directly at aogme@acom.org. This concludes our webinar. Thanks again to everybody who joined us, and have a great evening.